In 2005, French citizen Florence Cassé and her local boyfriend were arrested in Mexico on charges of kidnapping. She was sentenced to 60 years in prison. Because of the many irregularities in the case, it ended up attracting the attention of French authorities. And it escalated in a way that it brought Mexico and France this close to breaking diplomatic relations. It became a personal matter between former President Felipe Calderón and his French counterpart Nicolas Sarkozy. To make a very long story short, 7 years later, the Supreme Court of Justice decided to liberate her, mentioning innumerable instances of violations of human rights, in the way, of course, Florence was treated by Mexican police. The most interesting part, in my opinion, was the concept coined by Supreme Court's Judge Arturo Saldívar. He explained that the case had been contaminated by what he called the corrupting effect. Let me rewind the story for a second. When Cassé and her boyfriend were caught, the police were in desperate need for a dramatic accomplishment in the eyes of public opinion. So, they arrested the couple in the highway and kept them hostage and tortured them for several hours before being brought to a ranch house in the outskirts of Mexico City. To the same house were also brought real kidnapped victims, and the scene was perfectly set for a televised raid. Then the TV networks were called so they could transmit what they thought to be a real-life rescue. And everything seemed to be going well until it didn't. Because contradictions started to pop up like mushrooms. And it became a whole fiasco, an epic humiliation for the police, for the government, and for the whole country. And where did it all go wrong? In a country where only 38% of population trust in police, it could have been a good idea, even if unreal. It could have triggered some kind of change. But it didn't, because once the corrupting effect sets in, only bad things can come out. This week's Parsha shows its own corrupting effect. It begins by describing 3 passages. First, the case of the captive woman, where a man is sent to war and takes a Gentile woman as a captive for a wife. Then it's the case of the hated wife, and at the end, the rebellious son, Ben Soraru More. In a simple reading, they're all isolated laws concerning very uncommon situations. But Rashi explains that they're all related one to each other because of the corrupting effect. It begins with the Eshet Yefat. The law concerning the captive woman, it's very unique in many ways. To recap, the Torah says that if a Jewish soldier sees a beautiful woman in war, he may take her as a wife with a few conditions. He must first take her home, shave her head, let her nails grow, allow her to grieve the mother and her father, and after a month, if he hasn't placated, so he can really marry her. But Rashi states the obvious. The whole purpose of the mitzvah is to control the Yetzer Hara, and since it would have been too much to ask for a hormone-changed soldier to just behave as a tzaddik in war, the Torah gave him a gradual program to let go of his original desire. And at the end of the month, most people just send her back home, except those who don't. And for them, tragedy is to follow. The captive woman will lead to the hated wife, which will bring, in turn, the rebellious son. And the lesson is tremendous and frightening. A person's life can be destroyed if we just let the corrupting effect to kick in. That is why we must always be careful to take every opportunity available to get back in the right track. We're just a few days from Rosh Hashanah. Chodesh Elul is our last chance to get into the right track before we have to appear in front of our Creator. May it be His will that we do not miss this chance and be inscribed in the book of life and blessing. Shabbat Shalom Umevorach.